Hello, everyone. Sorry we're a little late. We ran over. Appreciate your patience. Madam Clerk, would you please read the adequate notice of compliance statement?
Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by the City Clerk's Office in preparation of the Council Annual Meeting Notice dated December 18, 2023, which was properly distributed and posted per statutory requirements. Please be advised that the fire exits are to my right, your left, and at the back of the room. The City has a listening system to assist the hearing impaired. If anyone needs hearing assistance, please obtain the system at the dais and return it thereafter.
Thank you very much. Roll call, please.
Mr. Boyer.
Present.
Ms. Hamlet.
Here.
Mr. Miniger.
Here.
Mr. Pulowski.
Here.
Mr. Smallwood.
Here.
Mr. Bartan.
Present.
President McTiernan.
Present. All right. At this time, we're going to have to do our Pledge of Allegiance. I see in the crowd my daughter's state championship lacrosse coach. And she did such a great job. I'm going to call on Coach Walsh to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Coach Walsh.
Should we give him a round of applause?
All right. All right, Madam Clerk, at this time, would you please read the notices regarding closed session and hearings and comments, please?
A closed session meeting as authorized by state statute was announced and held prior to the start of this meeting, and the known items for discussion were listed on the published closed session agenda. Please be advised that council meetings are broadcast live on Comcast Channel 36 and Verizon Channel 30 and rebroadcast on Thursdays and Saturdays on HTTV on Comcast 36 and Verizon 33. When invited to speak, please come to the lectern, clearly state your name and address, spell your last name, and speak into the podium microphone so that your comments can be understood by all and properly recorded. Whenever an audience or council member reads from a prepared statement, please give or email a copy to the City Clerk's office at cityclerk@cityofsummit.org. To help facilitate an orderly meeting and to permit all to be heard, speakers shall limit their comments to 3 minutes. Unless you are using an electronic device to follow the meeting agenda or need it for professional emergency contact purposes, please turn it off. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, at this time, do I hear a motion to approve the closed session and regular meeting minutes for November 6th, 2024?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, now we're on to our reports. I'm going to kick it off as usual with our esteemed Madam Mayor.
Thank you. The Summit Policemen's Benevolent Association, number 55, and Summit Firefighters Mutual Benevolent Association, number 54, are hosting the annual United States Marine Corps Reserve Toys for Tots Holiday Toy Drive now through Tuesday, December 10th. To participate, bring new and unwrapped toys to the donation boxes throughout Summit. Locations include City Hall and the Firehouse, and others listed on the city website. As I mentioned at the last meeting, the fire department will host a grand opening for the new firehouse on Sunday, November 24th from 12 p.m. to 5 p.m. Members of the public are invited to attend, and the event will begin with a closing ceremony at the current headquarters at 396 Broad Street, followed by a parade to the new location and for some firehouse opening ceremonies and traditions, and attendees will then be invited to tour the new building. Also on Sunday, November 24th, the Other Fellow First Foundation's 17th annual Frozen Turkey Drive is happening on Union Place right outside of the Summit Diner from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. Bring a frozen turkey, non-perishable food items, or a monetary donation. All donations and proceeds will benefit the Community Food Bank of New Jersey. So make it a day. Go to the firehouse and hang out with the turkeys. There will be 2 information sessions for high school and middle school students interested in learning about attending the U.S. Naval Academy. Summit High School 2022 graduate and current midshipman, and also part of the Coach Walsh lacrosse menagerie, Maggie DeFabio, will be available at Summit High School for interested Summit High School students on November 26th from 9:45 to 10:45. A separate session will be for middle school students, which is set for November 25th at 4 p.m. at the community center. That one is geared to 7th and 8th grade students, but 6th grade students are welcome to come too, along with their parents. The session will emphasize what they need to be thinking about and doing now to be a competitive candidate. They will also discuss programs that the Naval Academy offers to rising 9th graders, for which applications open in January. From our Department of Community Programs, Miracle on Elm Street is Saturday, November 30th. Join us for ice skating from 1 to 6 p.m. There will be hot chocolate and pictures with Santa. And the annual tree lighting will take place at 5 p.m. And hopefully there will be weather that's commensurate with those activities by the end of November. Thursday, November 28th is the 4th annual Thanksgiving at the Community Center from 12 to 2 p.m. This is a free Thanksgiving meal for anyone in our community. And last, DCP is currently taking applications to join our multicultural event committees. Please visit the Department of Community website, Department of Community Programs website, events page for the new guidelines on applications. And applications for that are due December 1st. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, I'm going to call a slight audible now, and I'm going to give my report before we go to the city administrator, and you'll know why in a second. My report is about our city administrator and our process to find a new one. As all of you know, Michael Rogers left the city sometime end of the summer. We've had a temporary city administrator, Tom Tucci, who is helping us out. His last day through contract was on Friday. So we wish Tom well. It was really great that he was here. He really did help us as we kind of moved towards this process of finding a new one. We are deep in the works on finding a new city administrator. We put out, we advertised for the position. We received, I think it was over a dozen applicants for the position. We've winnowed that down to a handful that we are in the process of setting up for interviews. The goal of that process is to then get that down to 2, which we hope to vet and put out a job offer for a new city administrator sometime in the beginning of December for start date the beginning of January. It's an aggressive schedule. We think we can stick to it, and we're really looking forward to filling that role. Which leaves me to what we're doing now. In the interim, as you'll see, it's going to be a resolution that we're going to vote on, but I'll speak a little out of turn on it. We have asked 3 of our department heads to step up and to take the role of interim city administrator until we find this. So we're super, super happy that Chief Evers has volunteered, our Madam Clerk, Rosemary Licatis, and our CFO, Tammy Baldwin. So this is awesome. They have full-time jobs. They're great at what they do, but we've asked them to do a little bit more for the city of Summit, and they've agreed to do that. So you can see that Tammy is sitting in the seat now as our acting BA. They're going to rotate. They've split up the responsibilities, and we expect a very seamless transition between Mr. Tucci and whoever our new BA will be, hopefully in January. So that is my report. Now, our city administrator report.
Thank you very much, Council President. A couple of announcements. There's some city schedule changes and closures due to Thanksgiving. The city offices will be closed on Thursday, November 28th and Friday, November 29th. The 28th, 29th, and 30th are parking holidays in Summit with no fees required for on-street parking or parking in municipal lots and garages, so come on and shop in Summit. We wish you a very happy Thanksgiving to all the Summit residents and your families. There is also a modified recycling collection schedule next week. Recycling on Monday, the 25th, Tuesday, the 26th, and Wednesday, the 27th is unaffected. That will continue as planned. There is no recycling collection on Thanksgiving, so that Thursday collection will be pushed to Friday, the 29th, and the Friday collection will be pushed to Saturday, the 30th. Regular garbage is still collected on holidays in Summit, and the transfer station will also be closed on Thanksgiving. Lastly, the last two Summit Free Market events of 2024 will be held on Friday, November 22nd from 12 to 2 p.m., and on Saturday, December 14th from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the transfer station. Please note that there is no weekday event in December. Donation guidelines and more information is available on the city website at cityofsummit.org/free market. And that concludes my report.
Thank you very much. All right, I think we do have a couple of mayoral proclamations. Am I correct?
You are.
All right, thank you.
First is Barbara Romano. Whereas the Summit Luminary Fund, a nonprofit organization that raises money for local charities in Summit, is honoring one of its members, Barbara Romano. And whereas the fund was started in 1985 by Barbara Romano with just a few streets and has grown into a community-wide effort. And whereas one of the most beautiful moments in the community each year is driving through Summit on the evening of December 24th to see the streets aglow with the luminaries. This glorious sight and the spirit of the community that it represents makes Summit, New Jersey a special place in which to live. The funds raised by selling the luminaries brighten the lives of many in need throughout the year. And whereas the Summit Luminary event is made possible through the dedication of Barbara Romano, who served as president of the Summit Luminary Fund until she retired in December of 2023, and whereas the Summit Luminary Fund raised over $130,000 for local organizations in 2023, with 100% of the donations going to the chosen charities. These charities include the Area Baby Center, Summit School Supply Drive, Grace, Sage, Elder Care, SHIP, Summit Senior Connections, Bridges Welcome Neighbors, Christ Child Society Layette Program, Family Promise of Union County, Summit Volunteer First Aid Squad, Summit Warm Hearts, Santa Claus Shop, and Valerie Fund Children's Center at Overlook Hospital. Now, therefore, I, Elizabeth Fagan, Mayor of the City of Summit, do hereby proclaim November 18th, 2024 as Barbara Romano Appreciation Day in the City of Summit, and ask that all citizens join me in expressing our thanks to Barbara Romano for 40 years of dedicated service to the City of Summit through the Summit Luminary Fund, and wishing her a healthy and happy retirement. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the City of Summit to be affixed this 18th day of November in the year 2024. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm deeply honored to receive this recognition from the City of Summit. What started out as a confirmation project by Eileen Moriarty on Prospect Hill has turned into a citywide event. All this could not have happened without the help of over 180 captains covering over 175 streets. I've been very fortunate to have had a wonderful team of volunteers, especially the 6 area leaders. They undertook the task of opening up their garages for the captains to assemble all of the luminary orders. It's quite a mess to do. However, the success of the Summit Luminary Fund could not have been accomplished without the support of my late husband, Dick, my daughter, Gina, Pam Kuhn. Where are you, Pam? There she is. And more importantly, Francie Ch. Francie, there you are. Francie Ch, who has graciously and successfully taken over my role. And of course, we could not have built it to where it is today, amounting to $1,600,000 distributed over a course of my tenure, without the whole community embracing this tradition. Thank you so much.
It's things like this that make Summit so special. So thank you. So, all right. The next proclamation is for the Junior League of Summit. So bring my representatives up. Give them a second. All right. Whereas the Junior League of Summit is celebrating its 95th anniversary as a women's volunteer organization dedicated to serving the communities of Berkeley Heights, Chatham, New Providence, and Summit. And whereas the Junior League of Summit is comprised of over 250 women who have the common mission of advancing women's leadership for meaningful community impact through volunteer action, collaboration, and training. And whereas the Junior League of Summit has made significant contributions to local communities since 1929 and has returned more than $3 million to these communities in the form of grants, projects, programs, and scholarships. And whereas the Junior League of Summit has contributed more than 1 million hours of community service, and whereas the Junior League of Summit has been a driving force in nonprofit leadership for over 9 decades, training over 2,000 women to be leaders in their communities, supporting over 200 organizations, and creating 12 initiatives that have grown into impactful programs, including the Summit Speech School, Summit First Aid Squad, and GRACE. And whereas the Junior League of Summit has addressed critical community needs by establishing transformative services such as the first safe houses in Union County for victims of domestic violence, Summit Child Care Center, Summit Senior Bus, and the Maybe Playground, leaving a legacy of innovation and meaningful impact. And whereas perhaps the greatest achievement has been the Junior League of Summit Thrift Shop, which is the oldest retail establishment in Summit and celebrating its 95th anniversary this year. It is also the primary fundraiser for the Junior League of Summit, and since its inception has provided the resources for grants, programs, projects, and scholarships that benefit Summit and the surrounding communities. Now, therefore, I, Elizabeth Fagan, Mayor of the City of Summit, do hereby proclaim November 18th, 2024 as Junior League of Summit 95th Anniversary Day in the City of Summit, and ask that all citizens join me in congratulating the Junior League of Summit on the 95th anniversary and thanking the Junior League of Summit for its generosity and continued community involvement throughout the years. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the City of Summit to be affixed this 18th day of November in the year 2024. Congratulations.
Thank you, Mayor Fagan, and thank you to City Council and all of you for being a part of the Junior League's legacy. It is officially, as of today, our 95th anniversary, so the fact that we get to have this special moment here on the day of our founding is particularly momentous. So thank you all for your continued partnership with the Junior League.
Thank you. Thank you, ladies. And that just proves that Summit runs on volunteers. That's all I'm going to say.
All right, that was fantastic. All right, we're moving right along. We have our Summit Historical Minute. Councilman Pulowski.
Yes, thank you. And I'm sorry for the delay. I did say this would be happening about quarter of. But tonight we welcome a senior from Summit High School, Juliet Ho, who will present our historical minute tonight. Juliet has acquitted herself well in her years at Summit as a fine student and a big part of our state championship swim teams. Juliet has a keen interest in history, taking numerous electives and AP offerings during her time, and she's going to present on, I believe, the Maybe Playground, and the Summit Youth Olympics.
Hi, my name is Juliette Ho, and today I'm going to be talking about the history of Maybe Playground and the Playground Olympics. So, as many may know, Maybe recently received a grant to renovate the playground to make it more accessible. But as we look forward to this new chapter, let's also take a step back to appreciate its significance to the summers of the children in the 1960s. Back then, Summit's playgrounds weren't just fun spaces to play, they were the heart of a beloved community tradition, the annual Playground Olympics. The part that stood out the most about this epic tournament was the uniquely wide array of challenges and contests, from tetherball games to paint splattering contests to baby picture competitions. Kids of all ages eagerly participated, bringing together participants from elementary school to high school. Competition kicked off with the grand torch lighting ceremony at City Hall, where teams from Memorial, Lincoln, Wilson, Maybe, and more paraded with banners they had designed themselves. In 1964, Maybe's team proudly took home the first place trophy. One of Maybe's stars included Willie Wilson, who scored 12 points in a basketball game won against Wilson. Another standout was Eileen McGabe from Lincoln, who entered her dolls into the doll contest and won for having the most lifelike doll. By July 1968, the event had expanded, featuring foursquare competitions, pick-up sticks contests, and softball games, contributing to the endless selection of activities for kids to participate in. Some kids were even sent to compete at the state level in the New Jersey Playground Olympics. Today, the Maybe Playground project has raised half the amount of funds needed to reach its goal. Let's reignite the joy of Maybe's past and create a new era of playground fun for the generations to come. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you for your minutes. Wait to see the new Maybe Playground all fixed up. Relive those memories.
I'd love to have a copy for the
Yeah.
website.
Oh, do you have a copy you can hand to the clerk, please? We'll pop it on our website. Thank you.
Thank you.
so much.
All right, we're now at the presentation stage of our meeting, and I'm really excited tonight. We have a group of Summit residents who are very passionate about this program, and it's called Wait Until 8th. I'm really excited to hear this and to be involved in some small way with moving this thing forward. Just as a background, I teach AP Government, is one of my, besides what I'm not up here, and I had a presentation given to me by a bunch of my students, and it was on the dangers of smartphones and the addictiveness of them and what it is doing to the youth of America. On an intellectual level, I kind of knew this was happening. I've read some things or what have you, but these kids hit me over the head with what is happening and how destructive this is to our young children. And we sit here and it's happening in front of our eyes. And I made this decision, like, I'm gonna try and do something about this because this is crazy. So I reached out to our mayor and said, you know, I'd like to be involved in this. And she said, whoa, now there are people in town who are thinking the exact same way you are. So I was super, super excited we had a nice meeting with them. We've been strategizing on how to move this forward. And one of the first things we thought is that they could bring the attention of this to the public, because it is an incredibly serious issue. It's affecting those we love most, which is our children. So I'm really, really excited to see the presentation. Jody Hiller is going to lead the group, but you guys can all introduce yourselves. And we've got a presentation that we're going to show, a video clip, and then they're going to take it from there.
Come on. Till what mark are we doing?
210.
210.
220, sorry.
220? 220. Did you want to introduce yourselves first?
Sure, thank you. I'm Jody Hiller for Pembroke Road.
Hi, I'm Tracy Kleinman. I live at 36 Blackburn Place. Samantha Moriarty, 80 Colt Road.
Okay. Do you need to set this up, or we just play?
This is a day I've been looking forward to for 2.5 years.
It's become a global ritual. The new iPhone hits the stores and the lines form around the block.
Smartphone junkies anxious to be among the first to buy the new iPhone.
In fact, would-be buyers have been waiting in line for days. So I just want to let you know that finally, officially, have an iPhone. Guys, I'm so excited! I just got my new phone! This is the iPhone 6! I can't believe it!
My motivation and my spirit is really not well. My mind is not well.
You have to make faces when you take selfies.
Wait, one more now.
Better angle. Every girl in the picture is locked into her phone.
Silicon Valley is engineering your phone, apps, and social media to get you hooked.
One former Google employee says this is no accident. Indeed, it is by design.
A handful of
Employee says this is no accident. Indeed, it is by design.
a handful of people at a handful of technology companies shaped how 1 billion people think and feel every day with the choices they make about these screens.
It's exactly the kind of thing that a hacker like myself would come up with, because you're exploiting a vulnerability in human psychology.
And it's clearly working. Today, wherever we go, we're inevitably surrounded by fellow citizens staring into their phones, as we usually are too.
All been there. We've seen the scrolling, the games, the videos, the texting, all of it. And simply put, a lot of children struggle to even put their devices down.
Depression, anxiety, and suicide among young people have risen dramatically in the last decade.
Worse mental health, increased behavior problems, decreased academic performance, and poorer sleep.
Now a new study shows it's getting worse.
The company's researchers found that Instagram is harmful for a sizable percentage of them, most notably teenage girls.
Smartphones invade nearly every aspect of our lives.
Seeing decreased confidence, increased anxiety, increased depression, hard trouble sleeping. This thing is a slot machine. All that screen time impacts the physical structure of your kids' brains, as well as their emotional development and mental health.
So I'm sorry, the video wasn't as clear. We are going to post that video on our website so you can watch it in its totality. It's about 15 minutes long, but I really do recommend, if you're interested in this, make sure you watch that. So I'm sorry, Jody, go ahead.
No problem. Again, I'm Jody Hiller. I have an internet-based smartphone. My kids will get one eventually. But what we're seeing about smartphones and what their ties to social media can do to our children's mental health and development makes us question, at what age is too young to sacrifice your childhood to a smartphone? Myself, in a group with 4 other women in Summit, Tracy Kleiman, Samantha Moriarty, Amy Canis, and Jackie Braver, we're seeing alarming data we felt we could not ignore. Is there a way to get that just a little bit bigger?
Jody, you can tilt the mic to you. Yeah, it's flexible.
It starts with the release of iPhone 4, the front-facing camera and Instagram in 2010, and by 2015, it was becoming normal for 12-year-old girls to spend hours each day taking selfies, editing selfies, and posting them for friends, enemies, and strangers to comment on. The hours girls spent each day on Instagram were taken from sleep, exercise, and time with friends and family. Prior to 2010, depression numbers were stable, and since 2010, an additional 18% of girls suffered from depression in 2021, a 150% increase in both genders, a rate that had more than doubled even before COVID. And the same is for younger teens hospitalized for self-harm. By 2020, the rate for girls has nearly tripled, with a 134% increase in suicide, same time period, for girls ages 10 to 14. Not to mention other areas of concern: attention and concentration in the classroom, lack of sleep, academic performance declining, social skills and in-person interactions declining, and another real problem, cyberbullying. In 2023, U.S. Surgeon General Dr. Vivek Murthy says that there is growing evidence that social media use is associated with harm to young people's mental health. Summit is this idyllic, perfect town. We moved here because the schools are fantastic, the vicinity to culture in New York City is at our fingertips, and what downtown community events have to offer is unmatched. But Summit is not immune to this epidemic. It's right here in our hometown that we love. And while our group of kids are still young, ranging from 2 to 10 years old, we are seeing many families culminate these precious years of childhood with a 5th grade graduation present, a smartphone. We are not mental health professionals, but parenting in a town capable of setting the pace for other towns. We want to get ahead of the problem and protect our kids from becoming a statistic.
So we asked ourselves, how do we get ahead of this problem? And we had lunch, and we had coffee, and we had lunch and coffee again, and we talked about it, and we said, can we actually change the status quo and keep social media, distractions, and dangerous content out of the picture until our kids are older? What's going to happen at that 5th grade graduation? Are we going to have to get them a phone because everybody else is? We did not want to see how things would play out. We felt an urgency, and we wanted action. We learned about a national organization called Wait Until 8th. It immediately resonated with us. Their purpose is to empower parents to act together and delay internet-based smartphones until the end of 8th grade by signing a pledge. It's about this notion of collective action, bringing like-minded parents together to delay so no one feels alone and no one feels as though their kid is marginalized because they're not a part of the majority. Across the country, Wait Until 8th has 82,000 pledges. And Wait Until 8th has been featured on the Today Show, Good Morning America, NBC National News, NPR, CNN Headline News, just to name a few. It was a no-brainer that this was the organization we wanted to align with here in Summit. So we took a leap of faith. We started a grassroots movement, the 5 of us, here in Summit last spring, to empower parents to sign the Wait Until 8th pledge. The reactions were amazing. Parents were relieved. They said, phew, thank you so much for doing this. We didn't know what to do, and now we want to jump on board. They're passionate, just like we were. And finally, we felt like we were bringing the problem to the surface, and we were doing something about it.
We currently have 380 active pledges, with the following breakout across the elementary schools. The momentum that we built in such a short amount of time garnered recognition within the national Wait Until 8th organization, so much so that the New York Times reached out to include Summit in their story covering the movement. We held an event over the summer with the founder of the organization and a licensed psychotherapist with over 100 Summit attendees. But as you can see, our efforts are clearly concentrated. As 5 Franklin moms, we're challenged when it comes to extending beyond our personal networks to reach the broader Summit community at large. So where do we go from here? It's our hope that by beginning a dialogue with all of you tonight, we can foster support beyond the reaches of Franklin. During discussions that we've had so far with Mayor Fagan and Council President Mike McTiernan, we've brainstormed community events, such as screen-free pizza nights at the local downtown pizzerias. Perhaps there's an outdoor creative session where kids chalk the sidewalks with illustrations of what they enjoy doing beyond their screens. We'd love to see more kids outside biking. Perhaps the schools form bike clubs or walking groups for Summit youth to travel to and from school together, fostering not only time away from screens, but independence and confidence. As parents, we are aligned. Yet there's only so much we can do as parents. We need partnership from our Summit leaders. with the Summit Downtown, the council, the Board of Education, all setting the tone and getting behind the importance of this, we believe we can make a huge impact on the lives of the Summit youth together. That's what we have. We'd love to hear any of your thoughts or answer any questions if there's time for that.
Members of council, you have any questions, comments? Councilman Boyer?
Thank you for that. I know some of us up here have young daughters, Councilman Smallwood, Councilwoman Hamlet, and myself. I have a 6th grader, and this really hits home. You know, it really does, and thank you for presenting this, because I think parents need that support and have a place to go. No one is immune from this, even myself. I think there's a place for phones, but I got to tell you, I hate them. Cell phones. You know, social media with the children, with the kids, back and forth all day. You know, it's sometimes it's heartbreaking, right? And I really, really do appreciate this. I think it's timely, and I will be reaching out, definitely. Thank you.
Councilman Smallwood.
Yes. Thank you all very much for your presentation. Unfortunately, my daughter's, I'm assuming the wait until 8th is 8th grade?
It's till the end of 8th grade.
End of 8th grade. Is it too late to grab my daughter's phone? She's in 8th grade now. I may need some support behind that, but I think this is a great program. And as I was listening, I was immediately thinking of the Department of Community Programs. Having the events that you were talking about, pizza downtown without the screen, something like that. I think we could definitely partner with our Department of Community Programs and come up with some events that absolutely no phones. And I would love to sit down with you and talk about that with you further. So thank you very much for your presentation.
I would just like to say
Councilwoman Hamlet.
thank you as well. Thank you, Council President. I have a little, my older ones aren't as, I would say, addicted to their phones as my younger one is. I think for the first 2, I didn't really let them have them until they were older. And the younger one, we let have a lot sooner, and I can see the difference already. He goes from, and I try to limit it, but he'll go from his VR goggles to his phone, and you can see physically he gets anxious. And hopefully he's not watching right now, or he'll really be angry at me. They typically don't, but I just want to say I think this is something that I can certainly support and pass along to all of our neighbors, and we just thank you for all your work.
Thank you. Councilman Pulowski.
Yeah, the thing that I liked about, or that I found most fascinating about the report were the statistics about what it does to our brains, right? And I think some parents might say, this is a great idea, my kids are a pain in the neck with their phones and everything else, but we also need to look out for their well-being. And I know it's done something to my brain because I get phantom buzzes in my pocket when my phone's not even in it. So thank you for the work that you're doing with this.
Thank you. Any other comments? Mayor Fagan?
I just want to say this group of women is really incredible. They came in last spring, and I was sort of new around here, and so I wasn't quite prepared to bite off as much as I think we can do as a community. So I want to thank you all for, first of all, getting this going, and second of all, for being here tonight. Really, really appreciate bringing much needed attention to something that we, it's like, if there's something we as a community could do to decrease the number of kids that are struggling with depression and anxiety, it's a no-brainer, and we've talked about this. And so I'm really, really proud to have you here and have you as part of our community. So I just want to thank you, and I would hope that people that are watching, people that are tuning in later, will reach out to you guys. And if anybody needs to reach out, we know where to get you. So please reach out to either Council President or myself, and we can certainly connect you. And it's really remarkable what you've already done, and I look forward to seeing the progress. So thank you.
Yeah, I'll just wrap up. That's amazing how many people you've signed up. I think even since we talked several weeks ago, you guys have had incredible momentum, so congratulations on that. But I do think it's super, super important. I mean, I tell my students, it's not your fault. You know, social media companies literally invest billions and billions of dollars to get that little dopamine hit in our brain going, and it addicts us. My wife yells at me all the time. I go into these death spirals on my phone. And we're adults. Impressionable, malleable children have no chance. It's literally like the tiniest little David against the biggest Goliath. But at the same time, I think, you know, thinking about how to counter this, you know, bans and stuff that comes down from above, people just will find ways to get around it. But if we can, like, Summit is a community that cares. Summit is a community that wants to know things. They do their homework. And if there's any demographic that can really understand just how much this is affecting our youth, you guys put the statistics up. They're scary, really scary. I see it every day in the classroom. Our community can do this. And if we can get to a critical mass where the cool kid is the one without the phone, and that's the kid you're going to hang around with, then we win. We win. But it takes all of us to kind of get us over that line to make that happen. And I'm super excited because if we can do this here, you guys have already gotten awesome press from the New York Times. Other towns will begin to emulate this type of thing. And that's where you need a grassroots movement to really begin to change behaviors and change habits. And I'm so excited that you guys are doing this. And I know a lot of us up here will be committed to helping, but we can coordinate with the Board of Ed, community programs. I want to reach out to Summit Downtown to talk about how they can promote, you know, no phone usage as well. There's so many things. Our real estate brokers, imagine this. If we get if we can get this going in our town, think about how attractive it will be to move to our community, where you can have a community that your children are safe from this. It's good for home values as well. So, like, these are really lofty goals, but I think they're really achievable, particularly in a community like ours. So I'm super, super excited to work with you guys. Thank you for all your effort, and we will be in touch. So thank you. Mm-hmm. All right, we have no ordinances, so we're going right to resolutions today. First resolution from Finance, Councilman Miniger.
Thank you, Council President. This is number 11608, and this resolution authorizes the cancellation of open balances of completed projects and unexpended balances from capital projects. This is a housekeeping item, usually done in August, that will result in the remaining fund balances being returned to the Capital Improvement Fund or the capital surplus. I move to adopt this resolution.
And I second.
Any comments from the public? Comments from council?
I just have one.
Yes, please.
Council President, or through you, Council President, to the CFO, is there a running list of all of the capital projects that, I think we went over them maybe last year, that this isn't all of the capital projects that haven't been exhausted, correct? Or is this it? Is this?
No, through you, Council President. This is not the entire list. Some of them are still open because there's ongoing work or work that's going to be charged there. But this was everything that we could clean up right now that we know is complete, that we know that we won't be using the funds anymore. So this returns to capital surplus.
That's great. Thank you for your work on that, Tammy.
Any other comments or questions? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, moving right along to Administrative Policies and Community Services. Councilman Bartan.
Yes, thank you, Council President. This is resolution number 11610 to appoint the Administrator Transition Executive Committee per our discussion in closed session and your description at the beginning of the meeting. This establishes the triumvirate of Tammy Baldwin, Eric Evers, and Rosemary Licatees, who will act to serve as the interim transition executive committee until a new city administrator has been named. I move to adopt this resolution.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Comments from the public? Comments from council? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, Law and Labor, number 1, Councilman Pulowski.
Thank you. This is Resolution ID number 11625 to approve 2025 council meeting schedule. Every year, the council must set its meeting schedule for the upcoming year. We generally meet the first and third Tuesdays of each month, but there are exceptions, I think 9 in 2025. So attached to the resolution is the schedule listed by date. I move to adopt this resolution.
Second.
Comments from the public? Comments from council? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Law and Labor number 2, Councilman Pulowski.
Thank you. This is Resolution ID number 11631 to declare a vacancy for the position of Administrative Assistant in the City Clerk's Office. Per our closed session discussion, I move to adopt this ordinance.
Second.
Comments from the public? Comments from council? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, community programs and parking services, on the ride share, we're pulling that for discussion at a later meeting. And that is going to lead us to capital projects and community services. Number 1, Councilwoman Hamlet.
Thank you, Council President. This is Resolution 11624, which is authorizing the negotiated contract for the paddle tennis court improvement project in the amount of $174,929. Whereas bids were received for the paddle tennis court improvement project on 2 occasions, June 4th and July 16th. Whereas all bids were rejected on June 4th, and they were also no bids were received on July 16th. Common Council authorized negotiations for this project on July 30th, and the Director of Community Services advises that Riley Green Mountain Platform Tennis Courts has provided a proposal dated September 6th to complete the project for a cost of $174,929. And what else do I have to say here? Upon receipt of a valid Public Works Contractor Registration Certificate, the mayor and the city clerk are hereby authorized and directed to sign an agreement with Riley Green, and they did receive all of that Public Works certification and apprenticeship program certification, which took forever. So I would like to move this resolution.
I will second.
Comments from the public? Comments from council?
I do have a comment, yes.
Councilman Vartan.
Thank you, Council President. I've thought about this. This has been going on for a while. Spoken to a lot of people in the community, given it a lot of thought. I just can't support this kind of pet project at this moment. First of all, it's a very small percentage of the Summit population that plays paddle, and this is essentially overflow for private clubs. Second is, price is almost double now what was originally budgeted. We have not attempted to raise funds from the community. And third, just don't think we should be spending the money on this when we've got playgrounds that are falling apart. So for that reason, I'm not going to support it this evening.
Other comments?
Yes.
Councilman Smallwood.
Again, this project has been going on since 2023. Maybe if it had been approved, we wouldn't have had to worry about the price going up. This is one of the fastest growing sports. Not everybody can afford to join a private club that has paddle. This is for our residents that are unable to use this paddle court for the past, it's unplayable. In fact, it's so unplayable that we actually this past summer had to shut it down because it's a liability. So, this is something that we have been pushing for over a year and a half. And just because the price has gone up is not a reason not to approve this. If we should have approved it and had it done in 2023, when it was first brought to council and approved. So for something that the base of the paddle courts is fine, it's the screening and the actual paddle court itself that needs to be replaced. It's actually chicken wire that's currently on there now. I don't even know, it had to have been built in the 50s. So it's something that we've provided to all of our citizens. Not everybody plays paddle, but we do have a lot of citizens who do. And we can also potentially make it a partial pickleball at some point, which is also one of the fastest growing sports in our country. So this is a benefit to a lot of people that have been asking me, when are we finally going to get this done? When can we actually play on this paddle court? So I will be in favor of this.
Other comments? Councilman Pulowski.
I just echo some of Councilman Smallwood's thoughts, and I don't see how this is a pet project when it's essentially fixing or replacing something that's been there for decades, since before you were born, Greg. So I'm going to be voting in favor of it. And does anybody know when the last time is that we put those?
I can.
Yeah? Okay. It's got my support.
Councilwoman Hamlet.
So I'm looking at a memo dated July 7th, 2023. So Rosie, who was council president then? Was that you, Greg? That was you. So I'm looking at a memo. It says, I hereby authorize to advertise for competitive bids for services related to the reconstruction of the Wilson Park platform tennis structures. The Wilson platform tennis structure located at Wilson Park is a 2-court raised wooden structure used by residents for platform paddle tennis. The 2 courts are over 50 years old, and despite regular maintenance over the years, have deteriorated structurally to the current state, raising safety concerns for park users. The structure is comprised of aluminum decking, wooden stairs, and superstructure, chicken wire fencing, and light fixtures controlled by timers. The structure is not currently compliant for ADA accessibility. The proposed project includes the reconstruction of the entire superstructure with an all-aluminum welded superstructure, new wooden snowboards, new 16-gauge galvanized screening, goes on and on and on. Funding for this project totals $189,655,000 and is available from the following accounts and grants. Capital budget 1110, which you see on here, 100,008. 310, which I don't think is on here. I'm not looking too closely. Actually, Union County Trust grant of $50,000 and with matching funds, which I don't even think are in here, from the city's account. And then we also went and secured a grant of $20,000 from the American Platform Tennis Association, which was spearheaded by Regina Feeney and Carrie Delmonico, who are here in town. So it actually is a little less money than I think we started, by about, that 15 grand? And we couldn't find anybody to draw up platform tennis plans. So Aaron, where do we have to go to get these plans drawn up?
Through you, Council President, the firm was, I'm kind of drawing a blank right here, but it took us a while to find one. We had to scour the internet and reach out to people who had paddle courts built in other municipalities. So I forgot the firm,
Thank
but
you.
it took a while.
So all these other municipalities, Stone Harbor, Seagard, a lot of other municipalities, so that residents who aren't members of country clubs can enjoy the sport of paddle. And this was under not only your leadership, Andy and I started in community programs together. When I first started on council, we were talking about this. So to change your mind on a capital project that we just voted for again, I think that we've voted on this 8 times. So I will be supporting this resolution. It's shocking that you don't.
Council President,
Other
I do want to mention
Councilman Smallwood.
I do want to mention that we do have $72,000 of grant money in total.
Other comments?
Through you, Council President.
Yes, please, Councilman Miniger.
So I do have a problem with the fact that, so we voted to allow this to be dealt with through negotiating the contract. And it was because we couldn't find the firm to draw up the plans. That first bid that came in was closer to what we had hoped for, and that And I guess I would be interested in knowing if we pursued that group to fix their bid, or if it was or if it was impossible for them to do so. I don't know if that's a question for Tammy or for Councilmember Nichols.
I can answer it. Happy to answer it.
What's that?
I do have one additional half comment. I was hoping to find out if somebody knew that answer.
I don't know.
I know it.
Okay. Councilwoman
First bid
Hammond?
was Riley Green, but they didn't have the public works certification, correct, Director Schrager?
That is correct, which is a fatal flaw, so the bids were rejected.
Right, so the bid's a fatal flaw. Original bid amount, Director Schrager, can you?
I'm calling that up now.
I think we actually got it down by 25 grand. My memory's a little foggy, but
What was the date of the first bid? I know it's in the memo, it's July.
but we budgeted,
June 4th.
the amount on July 7th, 2023 was before we got any bids.
Director Schrager, it's June 4th, 2024, and then July 16th, 2024.
Okay, on June 4th, the bid price was $198,109. And then the second bid, we received no bidders whatsoever, so.
Thank
So we actually negotiated for less.
Do you have another
Thank you,
comment?
Councilman. I do. So I'm authorizing a negotiation in a situation where the bids don't come in, or the bids fail in this case. Tells me that there's not a lot of firms building these. And I think in this case, that negotiation didn't actually do anything to benefit the city. Yes, it came down from the original thing, but I think the negotiation didn't serve us as well as actually getting bids from other companies. So I'm also not in support of this one.
Other comments?
Through you, Council President.
Yes, Councilman Varte.
We talk about, I don't think it's 8 votes, right? But we talk about the number of bites at an apple when we're talking about the capital budget, right? So you've got the capital budget workshop 1 year, then you go through the budget process, which involves a vote then you authorize a bid process to begin, and then you actually vote to spend the money, right? And a whole lot has happened between when we decided we were going to put it in the capital budget and see what we can do until now. And I'm saying I have heard from members of the community, and I've made my position clear here, the priorities have shifted, and I would rather spend the money on playgrounds. So that's where I am. Thank you.
Other comments from council?
I mean, the only thing I'll say, Council President, if I may, we spent, Director Ozrowski and myself, Director Schrager, you were there, correct? We were underneath the chassis of the paddle tennis courts. Greg, you weren't able to make that meeting, but this is a project that has been planned for in the capital budget. Grants have been received. And again, because of politics, you're not going to vote for this, which is, again, disappointing.
Now,
So,
that's an unnecessary accusation, right?
You can speak, please.
Thank you. Thank you, Council President. Look, I don't understand why we have to say, when we disagree with each other, we then start down the path of accusations, right? I've explained fairly clearly, I think in a respectful way, why I am voting against this resolution. And I don't, disagreement does not mean division. We actually really should. We talked about it all the time last year, how everybody was voting in lockstep and we're not talking about anything, right? Like, we're having a reasonable policy discussion up here, and I think that's a good thing for the community. Thank you.
Council
My
President.
last comment.
Councilman Smallwood.
Listen, playgrounds are a priority of mine as well. However, we have an older population that need health and benefits and welfare as well. This is an exercise program that it allows, without doing some in-depth research, but I am a paddle player, and most of the people that I play with are over 35. So, it's a health and benefit for our older residents as well that unfortunately can't use our playgrounds.
Councilman Pulowski.
Don't forget, those young teenage kids who aren't going to have their phones anymore. I know. When I was a kid,
something to do.
I played paddle at Wilson when I was a kid, and You know, I didn't have a cell phone, but
How are they going to look up the rules?
Yeah.
How are they going to look up the rules?
That's a good
make
point.
them up as they go. It's part of the fun.
Any other comments? All right, I'm going to have the last word here. So, on this, you know, I look at this thing. We're not building this from scratch. It exists. It's a community asset. It's something that enhances our community. We have it. The alternative is to just let it rot and fall apart, where we're going to have to spend money someday, either eventually fixing it up, where it's going to cost a lot more money, or we're going to have to tear it down, which would be very sad. And that's going to cost money. And then you have to repair the grounds and do all that kind of stuff. Might not be that much, but we have grant money for this. This has been thought through. I completely agree that this is it's an activity that does service other people other than kids. I play paddle. I have gray hair. I can do it. I like it to do it. It's one of the few things I can do that I can get outside. And it also, you know, this is a public space. There are a lot of people who can't afford to play at a club, and this is an alternative venue for them. I liken this to, like, if we were not to do this, we've just gone through an entire, you know, crazy process with our field house down in Tatlock Field, where people looked at it, and every year we kicked the can down the road saying, we'll do it later, we'll do it later, we'll do it later. And we had a health emergency at the last minute around that. You know, this is a paddle tennis court. It's, you know, there's no mold issues, but you get my point. We can't keep kicking stuff down the road because we don't want to just suck it up and do something that's right for our community. So again, it exists, it needs repair, it services a segment of our community that doesn't have that has different types of options. This fits perfectly with that. And we have a lot of grant money that defrays the cost. So I am going to support this as well. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
All right, motion carries. All right, going on to capital projects and community services number 2, Councilwoman Hamlet.
Thank you, Council President. This is Resolution 11614, authorizing the execution of the temporary access agreement with Morris Habitat for Humanity on Ashwood Court, whereas the city desires to repair retaining wall separating the property from the contiguous properties on Ashwood Court and the city's right-of-way, and whereas in order to complete the work, the city requires access to the property to restore any disturbances to the soil, and if necessary, to remove and reinstall the fence on the property, whereas the owner has agreed to grant the city access to the property subject to the terms and conditions that are set forth in this access agreement attached. I would like to move this resolution.
Do I have a second? Second. Comments from the public? Comments from council? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Capital projects and community services number 3, Councilwoman Hamlet.
Yes, Council President, thank you. This is ID 11. Can I bundle these or no?
You may.
Okay. These are IDs 11630 and 11621, declaring vacancy and authorizing, as discussed in closed session, declaring a vacancy and authorizing promotion to fill a vacancy in the Department of Community Services in the Engineering Division for Assistant Engineer, and declaring a vacancy in the Department of Community Services Engineering Division part-time Senior Engineering Aide. I would like to move these 2 resolutions and can talk about them further after we get started.
Second. Comments from the public? Comments from council? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, number 3 and 4 pass. That's great. All right, we're on to the consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Comments from the public? Comments from council? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, consent agenda passes. All right, that is it for our official business. City officials, bid you a farewell.
Council
and a nice
President?
Evening.
Before they leave, can I ask Director Schrader a couple of questions? Is that, because I know there's some residents here that probably want some updates, and if he leaves, then.
Okay.
Do you mind?
Mr. Schrager, you okay with that?
Will it be limited to 3 minutes?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, it is me, I don't know, maybe 6, I don't know. No, this should be relatively quickly. Can you provide, and I know that you provided an email, I just want some clarification. Can you provide an update on the sidewalk? And that is the one on, I believe it's Ashland in Plymouth?
So through you, Council President, the first step we've looked at it. I mean, in theory, it looks like it's something that could work. So we did authorize a survey to take place, which the surveying company has said it should take place the first week of December, and then assume we'll get the results back by the end of the year, and we could probably produce a concept, early first quarter 2025.
Thank you for that update. Next one is environmental study for the park line. Is that something that we can publish relatively soon? I know that there are residents waiting to take a look at that.
Yes, absolutely. We just have to dig through the files to find it, specifically because the files are massive. Some are with the Parkland Committee, some are with us. We just haven't had a moment to dig it out. And we'll post it to the Parkland, the project page on our website. So.
Great, thank you, Director Schrader. And last but not least, light on Dennis Place. I know that there was some issues with JCP&L, I think, getting out to the light service. Is that something new? Because I know they would move relatively quickly, or is that the lighting on Dennis Place that has some issues?
So in regards to, if we're talking about, streetlights that are JCP&L owned, but the city essentially, rents them, and they are out, is that just to clarify?
Yeah,
So they're not that quick of lately, enough for the last few years. We just sent them an email today about a few locations as well as a reminder. So there's two things we do. Is one, we track them, but we also report them, and residents can report them either themselves through the JCP&L First Energy login page, or if they submit it to us through C-Click Fix or even as an email, we put it in, or even the police department can as well. So any ones we have been put in, but I will just share it, is they're not moving quickly of lately. So we did send a reminder today.
Okay. Yeah, that was a C-Click Fix, and it was a while ago, maybe a month ago, around Halloween. And that it's a cul-de-sac, and when that light is out, the kids can't see anything. It is like pitch black. So I've been getting calls about that. So if there's anything that I could do, let me know. And I'd be happy to help. But thank you.
Absolutely. I think part of it is JCP&L is between government liaisons right now, so it's kind of a fill-in as the previous one, so it's not helping things move along, but we did just send a reminder today, so yeah.
And by the way, thank you for fixing the line in the middle of Morris Avenue. I appreciate that. There were cars getting their mirrors knocked off. So I saw that on the one hand, where there's no parking supposed to be, they moved the line closer on that side, and where the parking is, that it had less space. So when cars were coming down, they were knocking off the mirrors. So I saw the county come in a couple of days ago, and they moved the line back to the right side. So I know that you were a major deal in getting that done. I appreciate that.
Right, no problem. It was, unfortunately for that situation, it's a county road, it was a county project, it was county plans. Those were all correct. It was a contractor error. So some people brought up the divot in the middle of the road. It'll wear out. It doesn't look amazing right now, but that'll just kind of smooth out over time. So, but they did fix it, and that was brought to our attention by some residents. So we appreciate that.
Thank you, Director.
Thank you. All right. Thank you, Aaron. All right. At this stage, we're going to open up our meeting for public comments. As Madam Clerk mentioned, please keep your comments to 3 minutes so everyone gets a chance to talk. And when you come to the lectern, state your name and your address. That's your shot. All right. Anyway.
Dennis McKeever, 16 Clearview Drive. I know that you're having a meeting regarding lights at the high school. Unfortunately, because of what I do for a living, I'm pretty sure I'm not going to be able to attend that meeting, and I wanted to just say a few words about that. I know there's a 3-minute limit. About March of 2017, I was the president of the Little League, and Mayor Fagan and I were in a meeting of all of the leaders of all the local youth sports teams. And the discussion was the fields. The discussion was essentially making our fields more dynamic, more usable for the various sports, because at that time we were fighting to make sure that the various sports would have the opportunity to use those fields. And at that time I was advocating quite strongly that baseball and softball needed use of all the fields, including lacrosse. God forbid, but I was fighting quite hard to see that baseball and softball saw those fields. I think a step in the right direction is making our fields more dynamic. I'm aware that the middle school field, there might be a plan in the pipeline to make that field more dynamic. Our elementary school fields, which are used for baseball and softball predominantly, need upgrades, and I think a relief valve to all of that would be enhancing and allowing more and more sports to use more of the fields, which unfortunately means putting lights on Tatlock. I said before, I live at 16 Clearview Drive. Some of you know where that's located. I'm right on Memorial Field. I see soccer and all various sports going on all the time, and I'm familiar with all of the concerns that potentially neighbors would have to putting lights on a field. Having said all that, I would say I'm still in support of it, and I'm in support of any effort that either council or the Board of Education would put towards enhancing all of our fields for the youth. I was the president of the Summit Youth Baseball and Softball League for 4 years. I currently am a coach for them, but I don't want to be disingenuous either. Some of you probably know I have a son in college playing football. I have a son on the high school football team, so I don't want to be disingenuous with anyone either. But in 2017, when I was in a meeting with Mayor Fagan, she wasn't the mayor at the time, it was all about the dynamic, having our fields become more dynamic, so more fields, so more of the sports organizations can use them. And kids are coming, and they need to use the fields. So any effort in that regard, I think, would be welcome, at least by me. And by the way, I have an 11-year-old daughter who also I'd like to not have her have a phone, so I'm with that as well. Thank you for your time. I hope I can get to the December Lights meeting, but I wanted to make sure I put my thoughts on record. So, good night.
Thank you. Anyone else for public comments? All right, we're going to close public comments. We'll move along to council member comments and new business. Who'd like to go first?
I will.
Councilman Smallwood.
Thank you. Since he already mentioned it, there is a Department of Community Programs meeting on December 4th that we will present the studies from the traffic, which were done during the high school graduation, as well as a home football game. So the experts will be there to present their studies, as well as an environmental study, which the expert from the environmental study who did that study will be there as well. We will also have a comprehensive field study that Mr. McKeever had talked about that has been an issue essentially since 2017. So we will have that December 4th at 7:15 at the middle school auditorium. And for those of you who cannot make it, it will be recorded, and then all of the studies, in the interest of time for the meeting itself, we will be putting the studies on the Department of Community website, hopefully by the end of this week. Certainly no later than the latest it would be early next week. We have not received the studies yet. So, but considering the amount of time with the presentations and potential questions, we will be releasing the studies so that people can formulate their questions prior to the meeting. Again, December 4th, 7:15 p.m. at the middle school auditorium.
Thank you, Councilman Smallwood. Any other comments from council? Councilman Boyer?
Yes. I've teamed up with Homeland Security and the Board of Education to present a Protect to Know program. The Homeland Security and Special Agent will be coming in on January 27th. We will promote it. We'll get it out there to the PAL. We'll get it out there to the PTA. This is for parents only, and it's about child exploitation. When we talk about social media, it's about having explicit materials on social media and other applications and how to get those things removed, how to report that information to Homeland Security, how to work with law enforcement to protect our children. This is a program that has been administered throughout the state of New Jersey, and it's actually going nationwide. And I think that parents, teachers will be highly edified about what they have to offer. If there is something that's out there that your child is exposed to, or information being shared back and forth, it is good to know that you have somebody to call that can get that material off of social media or any platform. So I will be promoting this for the next month. Hopefully we'll have a really good showing, as we can see today from the presentations that we had about our cell phones. This is kind of in line with that. So I'm really supportive and happy about this project. Thanks.
Thank you. Other comments from council? No? Wow. We almost made 9 o'clock. I'm gonna give two comments. One, I know this was mentioned earlier. I'm just going to reiterate it. We are going through the process of filling all the amazing boards and commissions and what were the other term for it, Claire? Committees, yeah. There's loads of different names for them. But I always think there are different reasons that make Summit special. Our downtown, our schools. One thing that makes Summit over and above most other towns is the commitment from our volunteers. They give, they give, they give. And this is your opportunity to join that group. So please, if you are interested in joining a board or a commission or a committee, please send in your application. You can find them on the city's website. The second thing I just would say is, there was some back and forth up here on council earlier. I don't agree. As you saw, I voted differently than Councilman Vartan on a resolution. I kind of do agree with him. We should be able to disagree in a polite manner. On that, I have had a lot of meetings with people from the public who also wish for a tone and a temperature in our town to reflect the ability to have disagreements and be civil about it. And I'm really happy, I've talked to Mayor Fagan as well as Councilman Vartan around crafting some sort of statement, bipartisan statement, to talk about civility and what we are looking to do as leaders of our community, but also maybe to model behavior that people in our community can follow too if they so choose. So I'm excited to work with both of them about crafting some sort of statement. I'm hoping we can get it out in a few weeks. Because I do obviously think it's super, super important. So I'm looking forward to doing that. Okay. There's no other questions. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.